Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is grease a stone baking dish. This is what I use in the oven all the time, and I'm using avocado oil because it's safe at high temperatures. I wouldn't recommend extra virgin olive oil or any of the polyunsaturated fatty acids, which would be like your corn oil, your peanut oil, your canola oil, the typical ones that you use. So definitely pick up some avocado oil, some lard or baking grease, and or maybe some butter. Now, I say a stone dish because it's safe to cook on. In the world of ceramic pans and copper and all of these things, this is definitely the safest one to use. I highly recommend it. I will link it below or on my website. And I actually chose in this recipe to salt and pepper the seasoning on the bottom so that the chicken was coated on both sides. This is kind of a quick little trick. And then of course you always want to space out all of the oil, not just dump it in there, because you want to make sure that the chicken or whatever you're cooking on there does not get stuck to the bottom. I happen to have chicken tenders for this particular recipe. I think that they came out a little dry at the end. I prefer a darker meat, but that could just be a personal preference. So I would have used like chicken thighs, but anything that you do use that's already kind of pre-cut into these slices is the most handy thing. I know that ButcherBox does some and my cousin is obsessed with them. So I would highly recommend doing that just if you're in a hurry. These last couple meals have all been about just the quickest, easiest things you can do when you're just tired after work and you're just way too burnt out. So this as I'm kind of pushing the chicken around, I want you to understand that most of it is on the pan, but you can kind of have a little bit of wiggle room in that as long as it's partially touching the pan and they're not too double layered, they're going to cook evenly. You're not going to have any risk of getting sick or pink chicken. Just make sure that they're not so double stacked that they're not going to cook evenly, meaning that you want most of them to touch the pan. Maybe a quarter would be okay. So we're going to get on. So once that's completed, you're just going to put it in the oven at 350 for 20 minutes. Now we're going to add some spices, and then we're going to use a quick tip that is going to help you with like those fast meals. These are the moist mozzarella. You will find them usually in your deli section in your local grocery store, and they are pre-cut. We of course got these from Costco. That's where we get most of our items. And we had some left over from another sandwich that James is making. With the cheese, I like this to be super dense, like more so than maybe a pizza or than shredded chicken or than shredded cheese can offer. And as you can see, I'm kind of double stacking them just a touch, just like the edges. I don't want it to be so overpowering, and I do want it to cook all the way through and melt all the way through and kind of have a way for it to melt and into the parts that are not covered. I hope that kind of makes sense. So give them enough space in between both of the rows so that they can melt over the course of it. And then go get your favorite toppings that you want. I am a big fan of pepperoni, but some Italian sausage would be great. Maybe even some olives, or maybe some mushrooms, some bell peppers, some red onions would be fabulous. Just kind of think of what you would want on a pizza topping. However, we are going for a chicken pizziola sandwich, which is what James loves, and so I just wanted to kind of recreate that for him. He used to order it from Subway all the time, and he was, not able to have that because we don't eat bread anymore. So that was kind of my goal here. As far as pepperoni, you could stack them on top of each other, you could have them layered, you can do whatever you want. Pepperoni is one of the easiest things as far as cooking goes. Once you are covered with it all, you're going to put it back in the oven at 350 for another 20 minutes. And you want to check on it. We got our afterwards, make sure that it has cooked all the way through. And I pulled it out, and you can see it's kind of bubbling up. It's going to be moist. That's pretty normal, especially with this type of cheese and all the grease and the good fats from the pepperoni. And I just wanted to try and get an angle of me getting it out like they show on all those videos. But I was not in frame after this, so you kind of just get to see me Blair Witch Project it. But it was pretty awesome, as you can see all that cheese coming out the bottom, and it was a fabulous meal.